All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty cool in the AI world.
Okay.
It's called Cache Augmented Generation, or CAG. And you know how AI is getting really good at doing tasks and answering questions?
Right.
Well, sometimes AI needs a little extra help, like accessing extra information from outside.
Yeah, like external information.
Exactly, and that's where CAG comes in.
It's a really interesting development, actually.
I know, I'm excited to dig into it.
Yeah.
So to understand CAG, I think it helps to first understand retrieval augmented generation, or RAG.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting point.
So RAG is kind of like if you're taking a test and you have to look up every single answer in a textbook.
Yeah, it works, but it can be really slow.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So CAG, on the other hand,
Well, imagine instead of looking everything up, you just memorize the entire textbook beforehand.
whoa,
You just know all the answers instantly.
like a superpower.
Yeah, and that's basically what CAG does. It preloads a ton of knowledge into the AI model's memory.
So it doesn't have to go searching for information every time.
Exactly. It's all right there, ready to go.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and there's this visual in the paper, figure 1, and it really shows the difference, like the two workflows.
Mm.
With RAG, the AI has to keep going back to the external knowledge base.
Oh, I see.
But with CAG, everything is streamlined because it's all inside.
So how does CAG work in practice? Like, what are the steps?
Well, the paper breaks it down into 3 main phases.
Okay.
So first you have the preloading phase, and that's kind of like creating a super detailed study guide for the AI.
Gotcha.
All the essential information is fed into the model.
So it's like cramming before the big exam.
Exactly. And then comes the inference phase.
Okay.
This is where the magic happens. When you ask the AI a question, it uses all that preloaded knowledge to answer super fast.
Oh, wow. Like instant recall.
Yeah. And then there's the cache reset phase.
So what's that?
It's like hitting the refresh button. The AI's memory can be updated with new information.
So it doesn't get stuck with old info.
Right. It can adapt to new tasks and new information.
That's really clever. But why should anyone care about all of this? Like, what's the big deal with CAG?
Well, the research shows that there are some really exciting benefits.
Like what?
The most obvious one is speed. CAG is significantly faster than RAG, especially when you're dealing with a lot of information.
That makes sense.
Think about things like real-time chatbots or situations where every second counts.
Yeah. Speed could be a game changer in so many fields.
Right. And it also helps with accuracy.
Oh, right, because it doesn't have to search for information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it minimizes the chances of errors that could happen with RAG.
I see. So more reliable answers.
And then there's the simplicity of it.
Oh, yeah. The paper mentioned that CAG systems are easier to build and manage compared to RAG.
That's right. So it could lead to much wider adoption.
Okay, so we've got speed, accuracy, and simplicity.
Hmm.
But does CAG actually deliver, like, does it work in the real world?
That's the exciting part. It does. The researchers tested CAG using these popular question-answering data sets called Squad and Hotpot QA.
And what did they find?
CAG consistently outperformed RAG in these tests,
Wow.
especially when the amount of information got really big.
So the more information, the better CAG performs.
It seems that way. And
Huh.
they used this large language model called Llama 3.18b instruction to test it.
Oh, wow. So a model that can handle a ton of text.
Yeah, and the time savings compared to standard in-context learning were significant.
So CAG is looking pretty good so far.
It definitely has a lot of potential, but we should be realistic too.
What do you mean?
CAG isn't the perfect solution for every situation.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it works best when the knowledge base is relatively small and clearly defined.
So like a contained set of information?
Exactly like the data sets that used in the research.
But what about when you're dealing with something massive and constantly changing, like the entire internet?
Yeah, that's where things get a little more complicated.
So maybe ARGI is still better for those situations.
For now, it might be, but as AI models continue to evolve, who knows what the future holds?
That's true. We've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
From how CAG works to its potential benefits and even some of its limitations.
Right.
But we're just getting started. There's still so much more to explore.
Definitely we'll delve into some specific examples and talk about the broader implications of this technology in the next part of our deep dive.
I'm excited to keep going.
Me too. Welcome back to our deep dive.
So before we jump into the next part,
Yeah.
I gotta say my mind is still like buzzing from all the stuff about CAG.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like it could really like shake things up.
It's definitely a game changer.
Well, we were talking about how it works best with smaller, more defined knowledge bases.
Right.
But what about the future? Like, as AI keeps getting better, could CAG handle like huge amounts of information.
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
As AI models get smarter and better at processing all that data.
Right?
Who knows what the limits of CAG might be?
Imagine an AI that could preload like a whole library's worth of knowledge.
That would be
But
incredible.
wouldn't that take like a ton of computing power?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It would require a massive leap in processing capabilities.
Yeah,
But computing power has come so far in such a short time.
that's true.
What seems impossible today might be commonplace tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a good point. And with companies like Google and OpenAI pushing the boundaries,
Right.
I'm really excited to see where this all goes.
Me too.
But, we've been mostly talking about CAG in the context of like question answering.
Mm-hmm.
Are there other areas where it could have a big impact?
Oh, definitely. The potential applications of CAG go way beyond just answering questions.
Like what?
Well, think about healthcare, for instance. Imagine AI models that can instantly access and process huge medical databases.
Wow.
Doctors could use that to get faster, more accurate diagnoses.
It could save lives.
Exactly. It's like having a medical expert at your fingertips 24/7.
And what about education?
Oh, yeah. Think about personalized AI tutors that can draw on an entire curriculum's worth of knowledge.
Wow, that would be amazing.
They could revolutionize the way we teach and learn.
Okay, so we've got healthcare education. What else?
Scientific research, personalized shopping experiences, financial modeling.
The list goes on.
The possibilities are really endless.
That's what makes this technology so exciting.
Right.
It could touch so many different parts of our lives.
But of course, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, yeah, we can't forget about the ethical implications.
Exactly. We don't want to create AI systems that perpetuate existing inequalities.
Right, or are used for harmful purposes.
We have to make sure that CAG is developed and deployed responsibly.
That's so important.
One of the challenges with CAG
Yeah.
is that it can be a bit like a black box.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, the knowledge is embedded within the AI model's memory.
Okay.
So it can be hard to understand how the AI arrived at a particular answer.
So it's like we have this super smart AI, but we don't always know why it's doing what it's doing.
Exactly. And that's why research into explainable AI or XAI is so crucial.
XAI.
Yeah, we need to find ways to make these AI models more transparent.
So we can understand how they're working.
Right. Trust and transparency are paramount.
This whole deep dive has really given me a lot to think about.
Definitely thought-provoking stuff.
It seems like CAG could really revolutionize how we interact with knowledge and solve problems.
It has that potential.
But we need to be cautious and think carefully about the implications.
Absolutely. The future of AI is full of possibilities.
Yeah.
But we need to guide its development thoughtfully and ethically.
Well said. Before we wrap up this part,
Yeah.
you mentioned that the research on CAG used a specific language model called Llama 3.1.
Right.
Do you think CAG's effectiveness would change depending on the language model being used?
That's a really good question, and it's highly likely that it would.
So a more powerful language model might lead to even better results.
It's certainly possible as language models keep improving. I think we can expect to see even more amazing applications of CAG.
I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on this technology.
Me too.
But before we get too carried away looking ahead, I wanted to touch on something else. We've talked about CAG and its potential.
Right.
But are there any other approaches out there that try to solve the same problem?
You mean the problem of AI needing access to external knowledge?
Exactly.
That's a fantastic question, and it leads us perfectly into the next part of our discussion.
Oh, well,
Because there are some other really interesting approaches being explored.
like what?
Well, some researchers are working on these hybrid systems that try to combine the best aspects of both RAG and CAG.
Oh, wow, a hybrid approach.
Yeah, it's a really clever idea, and we'll dive into it in more detail right after this.
Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into cache-augmented generation.
Right.
We've been on quite a journey exploring this tech.
We have.
I'm still processing everything, to be honest.
Me too. It's a lot to take in.
Before the break, we started talking about alternative approaches to CAG.
Yeah, the hybrid system.
Yeah, those combining RAG and CAG.
It's a fascinating idea.
I know, so you get like the best of both worlds, right?
Exactly. You could preload that core set of essential knowledge.
Like the study guide we talked about.
Right. And then still have the ability to pull in additional info from outside when you need it.
Kind of like ARD does.
Exactly.
So you have that solid foundation.
Yeah.
But also the flexibility to go explore when you need to.
It's a very elegant solution.
But I imagine designing a system like that would be pretty complex.
But they definitely present some challenges.
Yeah.
Researchers are still trying to figure out the best ways to decide which knowledge to preload
Right.
and when to trigger that retrieval process.
It seems like it would depend a lot on the specific application
Absolutely.
and the nature of the knowledge base.
Right. Like a medical AI might preload common conditions and treatments,
Yeah.
but then rely on RAG to find information on rarer diseases or cutting-edge research.
It's like finding that sweet spot
Exactly.
between efficiency and comprehensiveness.
You got it.
This hybrid approach seems like it could be a real game changer.
I think so too. It really highlights how this field is constantly moving forward.
Yeah, always evolving.
And researchers are coming up with new creative solutions.
I think the big takeaway for anyone listening is that it's so important to stay curious
Yeah.
and be open to new ideas.
This whole deep dive is proof of that.
Exactly. I've learned so much.
You too.
And as these AI models keep getting more powerful,
Right.
we have to be careful
Yeah.
and make sure they're being used ethically.
Absolutely, for the good of humanity.
It's been amazing exploring all these ideas with you.
It's been a pleasure.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
CAG strengths and weaknesses,
Right.
hybrid approaches, ethical concerns.
All fascinating stuff.
We started with this new technique for boosting AI,
Yeah.
and we ended up talking about the future of knowledge.
How we interact with it.
I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive.
I agree.
It's been a great journey.
Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us.
It's been fun.
But before we go,
Okay.
we want to leave you with one final thought.
Right.
As AI models become even more advanced, do you think we'll reach a point
Yeah.
where the line between preloaded knowledge and retrieved knowledge becomes blurry?
That's a good question.
What would that mean for our understanding of intelligence itself?
Wow. That's something to think about.
Until next time, keep seeking knowledge.
Yeah, keep asking questions.
And keep diving deep.